Let's get back into all of it with Fox News contributor and former Congressman Jason Chaffetz. All right, good evening, Congressman, or shall I call you Jason?
Good evening.
Good evening. All right, any follow-up or any hope of follow-up before we get into Tokyo? I want to talk to you about that. With the Department of Justice, given the fact that you had asked the Attorney General Sessions for specific movement on specific evidence, any hope now?
Well, first of all, thanks for sharing a deeply heartfelt message, your own personal story. You know, I lost my mom to cancer, my dad to cancer. So thanks for fighting it and winning and sharing that story. But it is absolutely outrageous on uranium. I can think of absolutely no good reason why the United States would give up control of any of its uranium. But there seemed to be $100+ million worth of reasons and people connected that made donations to the Clinton Foundation, even though it may have been via Canada, also in violation of what seems to be a personal relationship with President Obama, that they wouldn't do any of this. The bottom line is you have to follow the dollars. And the Department of Justice and the other departments and agencies have to give Congress those documents. That's the way our system works. And so far, they haven't done that.
And, of course, when you were there and asked for it, they wouldn't give it to you. And right now, the State Department is still far behind, as is the Department of Justice. And the amazing thing is Justice and the State Department were fighting on behalf of Hillary, saying she had a right to privacy, and therefore they weren't going to release various foiled or Freedom of Information requests. But I want to move on from that. You can see right there, they're waiting for the president in Tokyo. I understand that just a few months ago, you were there in Tokyo. You've been there as a congressman. How important is this visit?
Look, the relationship with Prime Minister Abe is a critical one. I was there in May, was able to meet with him and spend a good hour talking about the issues and discussions, not only trade, but the national security implications. And certainly to see President Trump there on the ground in Japan is going to mean the world to the Japanese, who need the help and safety and security blanket of the United States. And then as he travels up and is able to go to South Korea, we have got to be in unison. The Japanese have been a tremendous asset. Many Air Force capabilities that we have there in great unison with the Japanese, but they desperately need our help and assistance. And I think the president will strengthen that relationship and send a strong message, not just to North Korea, but also to the Chinese as well, that we got a good partner in Japan.
And, you know, the interesting thing is, you know, so many Americans, Jason, don't really have a sense of Japan and where we are in relation to them and what they can do for us or what we do for them. The truth is, Japan kind of sits there vulnerable to North Korea. I mean, they're the ones, some of the ones who seem to be in the firing line of Kim Jong-un.
Well, as you've seen North Korea do its test missiles, they're going into sometimes the Sea of Japan, in close proximity to Japan, sometimes flying over Japan is my recollection. I could be wrong on that, but I think they're flying actually over Japan at times. And again, they don't have the deterrent capability that the United States has. We have tens of thousands of U.S. servicemen and women between South Korea and Japan. Then you couple in what we're doing with Guam. We've actually been moving troops somewhat out of Japan into Guam, but in a forward nature to be able to not only project power, but to also protect. And it's really a critical partnership.
And also in terms of the, you know, what we can look forward to in the next few weeks in terms of congressional hearings. You may have heard Congressman Ron DeSantis interested, of course, in speaking to that witness who was gagged by Holder and Loretta Lynch. That gag, of course, recently lifted. The president being in a kind of a tough situation. He really can't push that hard. And, you know, although, you know, he's doing, I believe, the best he can to not tell the Attorney General what to do, but at the same time to let him know that he's not happy with this kind of laid-back approach by the Attorney General's office. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, look, I mean, you have so many things where people are admitting that there's wrongdoing that is happening there. I mean, the uranium one is the one issue. Donna Brazil talking about that she has quote unquote proof of rigging of an election. How come the Department of Justice is not seizing these types of things, jumping right into the middle of that? Now, maybe they're doing something behind the scenes, but they should also be giving those documents to Congress.
Right.
That's the way this country works.
All right. Jason Chaffetz, you were always in there punching for us. Thanks so much for being with us tonight.